I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to
Streamline
ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your host, Keith Varney.
Out of practice.
Oh, and me. I'm in this.
Way back in high school.
I thought something else went wrong and I was going to kill someone.
QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo. What could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
Streamlining myself into an aneurysm.
Out of practice.
Welcome to hour 2 of the podcast. Seriously.
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice podcast. We are a weekly podcast detailing David E. Kelley's award-winning series, The Practice. This week is season 4, episode 13, Hammerhead Sharks. This is, episode 74. And oh my goodness, did we just go to war with our tech this morning.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing every week. We just are always shocked by our own ineptitude, so...
Well, it is definitely a big piece of our ineptitude, but also we have a complicated enough system that I feel like we're launching a NASA shuttle every time we boot this up.
For no reason. There's absolutely no dividends being paid.
No reason whatsoever, but we're doing it anyway, and I can't wait because next week we're going to be adding even more ridiculous, complicated tech when we finally add a decent camera on my end so that you'll be able to see my chubby, sunburned self just a little bit better. You're welcome, America.
It's been hot out there, folks. But we get to jump back to wintertime this week, back to February 6th. So I'm excited to escape the sweat that is pouring from every orifice because I've turned off the air conditioning so that you can have the quality you've come to expect from the Out of Practice podcast.
You know, that's so interesting. There was a long discussion on this week's Star Trek The Next Conversation, our progenitor of sorts, about whether or not they should have the air conditioning on in the background in their room. And the audience consensus, now, let's just say their audience is it's a different size than our audience.
True.
I'm not going to say which one's bigger, but they're very, very different.
Let's just say we trust their polls more due to sample size.
Yes, not to give it away, but they have a larger sample size. But then again, everybody has a larger sample size than me in every possible way. Dating life, audience, whatever. All right. But anyway, the consensus was definitely leave the air conditioning on. I think because you run a gate anyway. Mm-hmm. I've never heard it. So I think you can be comfortable. This life is uncomfortable enough. This podcast is hard enough. You shouldn't have to suffer.
Oh, I suffer from second one till the end. So why not suffer some more, I say.
Well, yeah. Cue the complaining emails we get from our audience.
Yeah.
Which we never do because our audience is amazing.
That's true.
Yeah. So we're recording this today on the 4th of July.
Oh, happy 4th of July, correct. Yes, welcome. Happy America.
We still have a country a little bit. we're trying desperately to hold on to what we can with our cold dead hands, but yeah, I was out for a run this morning, so saw way more people than I normally do, but avoided them like the plague as always. So if I'm bad today, and I think the chances of my being bad this episode are pretty high. Not only am I low-cal Keith, who ran in the heat, I battled tech for an hour, and I haven't eaten a lot, so this is going to be real bad, guys, real bad. But we're saving our worst for the big part 2 of the practice post-Super Bowl arc.
there was a moment 2 nights ago. Jen had fallen asleep. I didn't want to watch any of the shows we're currently watching without her because I'm a good husband. And I contemplated breaking all the rules and watching part 2. But
no,
I chose not to do that. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole, but anyway. It would have been wrong.
Because, yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because I have an objection with that idea. Because that's what I was trying to get you to do at the beginning of the series.
True.
And you just didn't. So we changed the rules for you because you refused to do your homework.
But, Keith, changing rules has been okayed by our audience. Forget TNG's. We got our own audience has given us their own feedback about the rules, and that can be heard in this week's.
Are you setting up something? Are you ready to move on?
We call this a sagui.
To be doing this an hour and a half ago.
This is what I like to call a sagui.
Oh, the sagui. All right. Here is. Filings and subpoenas. We're going to be a little loopy today.
I've been 4th of Julying early.
Well, last week we gave Lucy Hatcher the Most Valuable Lawyer Oopsie Award for Season 4, Episode 12, New Evidence, which is Part 1 that we're going to see Part 2 of today. And boy, we got a lot of comments. First off, Phoenix wrote in saying, Lucy's first MVL. I'm with it. Having minored in philosophy, I will always take the side of solid reasoning over arbitrary rules. And I knew that Phoenix was going to be on board with this. But we also, we had our statistical research team, i.e. in the form of Jorge Navoa, wrote us on Instagram and said, in an effort to help make this the better podcast, I just did my research. And not only was Rebecca D. Cricket given a Best Lawyer Award when she was still a paralegal, Season 2, Episode 14, the case involving the girl with Tourette's, Keith championed that everyone has the potential to be a lawyer in their heart. Sniff, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful,
So we were
Keith.
wondering if we'd ever done it. And thanks to Jorge, we know we did, because Lord knows I didn't remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Just, Keith, I'm giving you a close-up here. Just look at Keith Varney. This is a man, he doesn't like to show it, but he has a heart. And he wants everybody to fulfill their potential and really strive to be the best they can be. Because Keith wants us all to enjoy this better podcast with humble
Guys,
Keith.
Don't make it the better podcast. Make it the better you.
Wow. Yeah. The more you know.
This whole podcast is like an anti-PSA. This is like what you shouldn't do. Like what we're saying, what we're talking about, the fact that we're doing it at all. Just basically don't do any of this. But I will point out that you started the hashtag Keith was right on Instagram. So please, hashtag Keith was right on anything. I will be so excited.
I can admit when I'm wrong. I've learned through therapy that I'm able to admit when I'm wrong, and I wanted to just give Best Lawyer to Lindsay because she was the main character, and that's we're not going to live by those rules anymore, Keith.
We pledged to be better. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to
start doing live episodes, even though you hate that. We're going to have guests. We're going to break all the rules.
No, we're not. We're not going to do any of those things.
That sounds a little hypocritical.
You got me to put my face on camera.
It's true.
That was hard enough already. I have to shave now.
I know. Isn't the country going through enough?
I shaved for this podcast today.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Well, also, you might point out that I have new glasses today if you're watching on the YouTubes.
Yeah, Keith was so right this past weekend. He lost his glasses in the ocean.
I sure did. I donated them to a dolphin who was nearsighted, to a nearsighted dolphin. I think that was my idea. Yeah, you and Jen came down and we spent a day on the beach, had an amazing time, but did donate my glasses. And it was one of those things where I was so excited because we got boogie boards. I was so excited. I couldn't contain myself. And I like ran to the water like the 10-year-old that I am. And I got a little bit into the water. And then I turned around like, oh shit, my glasses. And I got to the oh shit when I got crushed by a wave and sent everything flying everywhere. Got the boogie board, glasses. Hopefully that nearsighted dolphin will enjoy the glasses. Anyway, back to filing and subpoenas. What you laughing at? Lauren is Square wrote us and said, loved Marla Sokolov in the show. Of course, we do too. Certainly glad we're connecting with a lot of Marla Sokolov fans on Instagram. She's very active there, which is great. Also, we heard from our good friend and founding sponsor. I should also point out that Jorge is a founding sponsor. But our founding sponsor, Cloud Lover, who writes, excited to see my sponsorship money being put to good use. Keep it up, Mike. Now, yeah, because you look so fancy. But also, I believe this is vindication. I feel personally vindicated by this. He says, also, I watched the sports ball segment in full every time.
Hashtag Keith was wrong. He said everybody fast forwarded through it.
That's true, but hashtag Keith was right. The sports ball segment is awesome. And that's from the number one fan of the weather segment, which I didn't know that you could be both.
See, you can coexist, Keith. We are uniting the country one stupid segment at a time.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, and lastly, Phoenix wrote again, and he said, hey, since you guys have all this time to make YouTube videos and watch Quantum Leap without me, why not just accelerate your release schedule so we can all get to Quantum Leap sooner? And you said, all right, let's say this. I'll agree to accelerate my nagging of Keith to fast track the not yet named potential Quantum Leap podcast. And Phoenix replied, good. And Mike, stop. Excuse me. Puberty. Stop watching Quantum Leap. I'm waiting to rewatch it until you guys start the podcast. And if I have to wait, then so should you. Besides, if you watch it now, you won't be able to rewatch it in a couple of years, which will kill the podcast. So you have been challenged, sir.
Well, do we have anything to announce officially or unofficially, Keith?
No.
Okay. I think we're leaning towards maybe not waiting a few years for that podcast, Phoenix. Nothing promised yet, but we might.
This is news to me.
Is it? Oh yeah, you didn't know I was being serious. Yeah, we might. We'll see. You know what? I don't want to make any promises. I don't want to write any checks just yet.
Oh my God! It took us 17 hours Phoenix, to load this today.
There are other. Absolutely, I am sure that they are better. Quantum Leap podcasts already available.
Many.
So not many, but more than a few.
Well, there's only one practice podcast that I'm aware of.
The seminal podcast.
The first. We will definitely be able to say that. All right. Well, thanks for writing in. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. We're also now on the YouTubes at Out of Practice or something like that. You can just find us and leave us a comment under the YouTube video of this. If you would like to join the jury, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service. Just let us know where it is. We will happily join you into the jury. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. But it is now time.
I'm busy acting, Keith, while you're plugging this stuff. I'm like I'm miming a review. I mean, this is years of training.
Look at you. This is what the death of our industry has brought us to. Miming, emailing on a YouTube video for an audio podcast, which no one can see. Great. Well, congratulations. You're really missing out. Now, if you're not watching on the YouTubes, all right, it is time to hop back into the time machine to February 6th, the year 2000. I know you were excited to watch part 2 of the practice doubleheader, But what were you doing
This day in the basement?
Things are fuzzy right now. I'm between life chapters, but I will say that I was getting ready to audition for my very next show that I would do, which was coming up this summer. But, this was a community theater, so they would audition early and then rehearse for way too long. So in and around this time period, I believe, is when I saw the casting call. There was in Philadelphia, I think your wife would remember this maybe. There was a 3-fold pamphlet that they would mail out, the Greater Theater Alliance of Philadelphia. It was called Stage Magazine. And they would post all the community theater auditions. And I saw one in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania for Pippin, which I hadn't known what that show was. So I started doing some Pippin research.
Did you have some magic to do?
I did. Oh, was there? There's stories to be told about this production, but we'll get there when we get there.
Wait.
But it was first put into my life around this time as we hunkered down for a long Philadelphia winter. And that's all I have for this Day in the Basement. Keith, over to you.
You were contemplating auditioning for Pippin. So you had already done, you did Joseph in high school. So then you went from Joseph to Pippin.
Right, I'd already gone to Ithaca. I had no kind of theatrical anything at Ithaca. And then now I'm back and thinking, well, I need to fill some time, so maybe I'll do a play. That was fun when I did it in high school.
Yeah, well, foolish though that turned out to be. Now we're both in musical theater. All right, so I have worked so hard to try to track down what I was doing in the basement, and I've spent hours going through old photographs and emails. I still don't have a lot of documentation, but I realized I opened up an old Eastman Notes. It's like our little Eastman monthly magazine or whatever, and was reminded that I was in rehearsals for Così fan tutte at the Eastman Opera. I had done Elixir the year before. So I was now in rehearsals for that. One of my sophomore classmates got a role, and that was very exciting in it, but I was still in the ensemble. I have almost no memory of doing this. I know that I did. So I had to double check. I went back and I listened to someone who was like, oh yeah, no, I did sing that at some point. But I think I was like a villager or a soldier or something wandering around that for like 10 minutes in the opera. But that's what I was up to. Maybe I'll see if I can find some video of it for next week.
There are no small parts, Keith. No small parts, as we both can attest to.
No, actually, there's definitely some small parts. And I didn't even remember if I had done that opera or not. It's like a 3-hour opera we did in a 3,000-seat theater. I'm like, wait, was I in that or did I just see that? No, I think I was in it. You wanted to talk about...
I did want to talk about
one of our more aggressive jingles. Mike does very aggressive jingles. Just like, all right, so we went from this day in the basement to someone like screaming at me about television.
Well, it's because your brain rotting. I've been watching a lot of television, and there are a couple things I wanted to talk about. Briefly, I'll mention Floor is Lava because that is absolutely mindless, stupid, and worthless of your time, and so much fun.
Yeah, we watched a couple of episodes on your recommendation.
It's something, right?
It's so silly.
It's so silly, and sometimes you need that. Like, if you need to just go to another planet of stupid, this will take you there.
Right.
Without any sort of, like chemicals or anything, which is great. Also, I was a fan of this show as a child, and I didn't think the reboot was going to capture... The original host has passed away, so I didn't think the reboot could possibly capture the magic. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix is so good, man. Once that
I didn't watch the original.
Well, then maybe it won't hit you as hard, but it's a lot of disappearances. It's very true crime. True crime.
True crime.
So you go from unsolved murders to unsolved disappearances to UFOs and direct one-to-one documentary style interviews with the victims or the victims' families. And it's very moving. And what I think is neat about this time, so you used to just watch the show when it would air, and you never got any resolution because these were unsolved crimes, and how long it would take for tips to roll in and crimes to be solved, and then them to release an episode about it would be years. But now with the internet,
solved mysteries,
right? Now with the internet, I suspect that we will see updates to the cases much quicker because the tips will come in faster and invest. And there's an online community as well. So it's anyway, we've really been enjoying it.
Oh, in addition, it's like a highbrow Ripley's Believe It or Not
meets America's Most Wanted.
Okay, all right, interesting.
So also, we've gone back in time now. Hall of Shame. I had only watched the first 5 to 6 episodes of this during its initial run, and Jen had never watched any of it. Yes. So we've begun The West Wing.
Oh boy, you are in for a treat.
I only wish that maybe Sorkin had waited and released it now as a more limited Netflix special, because I really just want to see it in high definition with all the production quality we could have now.
Well, it's in high definition.
Yeah, but it's
shot on 35 millimeter.
But I just mean I'd like to see it like House of Cards looked, like Hollywood looks. I'd like to see it with what we could do today.
Well, you're still in the first season. Like, it looks pretty good. That's also true. As it moves
and
forward.
Also, 22 episodes. It feels. I mean, we're in the first season, so it feels like it's going to be there's going to be a lot of filler, but maybe not. I mean, every episode thus far has been just spectacular.
No, it's an amazing show. The problem with airing it today, it would be so, because it depicts a rational, reasonable, kind, well-functioning government. So it'd be pretty much like sci-fi at this point.
It does even feel the way. And Jen, everything that happens and every speech that Martin Sheen gives, or President Bartlett, she's like, I wish we had that now. And I said, well, I think that it would still feel very fanciful. It does feel like fantasy, but it does make me remember that, you know what, we're still a young union, Keith, and we are becoming more perfect. Hopefully.
No, we're really falling apart and crumbling at the seams, but you never know. It'll get better, we hope.
It's a great brings
show.
Me to the next thing that maybe you haven't heard of, Keith. It's a show called Hamilton.
Oh, that's a musical, right?
It's a musical that is now on Disney Plus exclusively.
Wait. Did you discover it?
I think I might have discovered it, yes.
Really? Oh man, you're really into the underground stuff. I can't wait for people to check it out.
Well, not only is it a cultural phenomenon, but most people haven't been able to see it, and now it is released to the masses who have a subscription to Disney Plus. And it is so beautiful. It is shot so well.
Did we actually say it was Hamilton?
Yes, it's Hamilton, the musical.
Okay, yeah.
And I actually think I have seen it live, and I think that this captures the excitement of that original company, mostly original company. But it also, I think, when you see something live, you're limited to the aspect you have where you're sitting. And a lot of times when you see movies filmed or shows filmed, they're shot from the wide sort of center view. The camera angles chosen here simulate different places you would have sat in the audience, and you actually capture many of the different perspectives. It just highlights how amazingly this is choreographed and directed, because the tale is being told subtly in very different visual elements throughout the sort of magic being created. So it was pretty spectacular to watch. We cried many times.
No, that's fun. I saw the show live, but I have not seen this adaptation of it. And I I hate movie musicals, but I love live performances.
When I was a kid, in 6th grade, I was obsessed with that Sweeney Todd VHS.
Oh, sure. Who wasn't?
I think it was the first national tour. And I just think of kids
George
now.
Hearn and Angela Lansbury.
So good. I was obsessed. I think that this will be that for so many kids of this generation.
Oh yeah, I was I was talking with Chip Zion, who played the baker in Into the Woods, because we're friends, and I was telling him that we watching the Into the Woods DVD of the original the Broadway cast changed how I thought about theater. So they filmed a lot of the Sondheim shows. So they did Into the Woods, they did Sweeney Todd, they did Sunday in the Park, they did Passion. And I watched those over and over and over again. And it taught me so much about theater and performing and acting and writing that it definitely informed a good part of the rest of my life watching that. So
now, Keith, while you were getting ready to make fun of me for mentioning Hamilton,
yeah,
I was being the better podcast. And I wanted to actually tie Hamilton into
Is Lynn here?
Tie Hamilton into our 4th of July special here today.
Oh, okay.
All right. I don't know if you knew this, Keith, but if you'll excuse me, did you know that the first murder trial in the United States, for which there is a formal record, the victim was Elma Sands, disappeared on the evening of December 22nd, 1799, and Levi Weeks was the brother of this guy, Ezra Weeks, a prominent citizen, and he was accused of the murder. And because his brother's wealth and connections, Weeks was able to retain 3 of New York's most prominent attorneys, Henry Livingston, Aaron Burr, and Alexander Hamilton, to represent him at the first murder trial.
I did know that, having seen Hamilton, but how crazy, how cool.
The court consisted of 3 judges, and the trial, this big murder trial, because it was the first one, lasted 2 days, March 31st and April 1st. The justices took, let's see, where was it? I believe it was 5 minutes to deliberate, and he was acquitted on all charges. So the original Bobby McRambo is Alexander Hamilton with his co-counsel Aaron Burr successfully defended the first murder trial in the United States.
That is interesting. Well, I think that's super fascinating and I think awesome. It does make you wonder. So if Alexander Hamilton was Bobby McRambo and Aaron Burr would be who, like Eugene or
he'd be Eugene,
Eleanor,
I think.
Yeah. So what is one of our cast members going to eventually murder the other one in a duel? The co-counselors?
Well, it sounds like David Spader might win a particular duel with Bobby McRambo.
David Spader? David Spader.
I might not come back from this.
Oh my!
James Spader. Did I combine David Spade and James Spader?
You absolutely did.
Can you Photoshop that into a human person?
That's a good question. Yes, okay. I think I can.
Can we get this train back on the rails?
Unlikely. It's never been on the rails. Oh my God, Jay. All right, so. Wow. All right. Anyway,
that was more TV.
That was more TV. Why is your thing screaming at me? Why is it always screaming?
I thought that was such a clever tie-in to our podcast, but no, you were unimpressed by my Hamilton history lesson.
I actually was. I thought that was fascinating. I really liked that.
Before I finish, I wanted to say that was from the New York State .gov is where that information was read from.
Oh, interesting. Yep. All right. There it is. Okay. Well, it is finally.
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay, so we are talking about February 6th, the year 2000. the number one hit, and will be, we have a new policy because every time we play the number one hit, YouTube shuts it down. So to punish them, I will search high and low for the cover on the internet that has the fewest listens of that song, and we will try to get them some more listens. So this is I Knew I Loved You by Savage Garden, continued as the number one hit.
Nailed it.
The local paper says, of the Burlington Free Press, said outsiders shy away from marriage debate because we were still in the civil unions gay marriage debate in Vermont. The top movie was Scream 3. In its first week of dominance, it took in $34 million. Thank you so much, Savage Garden. It is now.
It's time for sports ball.
It was All-Star Sunday in America. The NFC beat the AFC 51-31 in the Pro Bowl. Randy Moss was the MVP. Michael Strahan and Jesse Armstead represented the Giants, and Brian Dawkins and Troy Vincent came from Philly. Meanwhile, the 50th annual NHL All-Star. The world beat the North America 9-4. Mark Recchi, John Leclerc, and Eric Desjardins repped the Flyers, and Ray Bork was the only contingent from Boston. Whew! I put too many words into sports ball.
It was well done, though, buddy.
You know, I do what I can for Cloud Lover, the number one fan of sports ball, but he unfortunately also does put up with
Weather. Can you tell
Guys,
me the weather?
this is going to be the big test. Did Mike do his homework? Did he not?
I regret that. I have to say, I do regret that I ever committed to it because it's just
Tell me the weather
ridiculous.
From 21 years ago.
Years ago. Let's see how much work Mike put into it this week.
Happy February, everyone in Out of Practice podcast land. This week's weather report for February 6th, the year 2000, in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, with Mike Deglio and his friends, it was 36 degrees, going all the way down to a low of 20 degrees, but at least it was sunny outside, so you would be seeing your shadow out there in Rochester, New York. Shocker! It's freezing cold, 26 degrees, felt like 15 degrees, going all the way down to 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Keith, hope you're bundled up, and with our firm, the Avengers, Bobby McRambo, Lindsay and team out in Los Angeles, California. It was 51 degrees Fahrenheit, going all the way up to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too hot, but definitely on the warmer side, so make sure you have a fan. And this was your time machine weather.
Oh my God. Well, okay. You're going to kill me. All right, so now, will you pledge here on the air, as each week you have done Time Machine Weather, not only are now doing a video segment, a fully produced weather report that increases it gets more elaborate every week. Now, not only do you have to do the video every week, it must get more elaborate every week. Also,
equal to or greater than, I can promise. That's about it.
I'm also going to block you from Facebook so you don't steal my photos.
There were other people in that picture I cropped out to protect the innocent.
Oh my God. Wow. Guys, if you have not checked out the YouTube version of this, you should hop in just for the weather report because it is amazing. Whew, all right.
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Finally, it is time to talk about this week's episode. This is season 4, episode 13, entitled Hammerhead Sharks. It is part 2 of the post-Super Bowl episode. It was written by David E. Kelly. It was directed by Dwight H. Little, who last directed Happily Ever After. And that leaves us with only one more thing to do before we watch the episode.
your problem? Is this what happens to women when you insert your
Can't get
penis?
my hands on the shot.
What? What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Okay, here's the truth of it. We're going to get our guy acquitted because Lindsay is going to discover that the nun has a shocking secret. And that shocking secret, for some reason, leads to murder.
To murder. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's a bold one.
And then for no reason,
I like it.
and it also involves a loan shark because that's why it's Hammerhead Sharks.
Oh, okay.
There's a loan shark also. Maybe the nun owes this guy money.
Oh, okay. All right.
How's that sound?
That sounds, I mean, as good as all the other guesses. I mean, there weren't any pirates this week, but there were sharks.
Loan shark.
Okay.
Loan shark.
One shark. A singular shark.
No.
All
Not
right.
a loan shark. A loan shark. Like, a guy who like loans you money and then it beats you up when you don't pay it back.
Who's also a shark, so it's more intimidating.
Should we do the episode? You know the
that
drill.
was,
There's a link down in the description to link you to the podcast, and we'll be back after an ad from Anchor that if you're on YouTuber, you don't gotta listen to.
I look terrible. Great.
You look great, man. I really think you look great. That was quite the episode. That was really intense.
That was really fun, though, right? Mm-hmm. And it is now time for you to tell us not what you thought about the episode, but what the hell just happened in the episode. And I'm going to underscore it with some cheesy piano and strings.
Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show.
Well, the team all gets a chance. Lindsay leads the all-star teams. Jimmy has some great cross-examination. Eleanor does a great examination, and then Bobby brings it home. But it was Lindsay at the very end who decides that it was a rhombus-parallelogram of a conspiracy that actually framed our client. So Lindsay was right all along. He gets off. The judge, who was our antagonist, actually gives a direct verdict of not guilty. Everything works out. We go back to Los Angeles, or to Boston, proving that we are the Avengers of Law.
Yeah, there it is.
Greatest. Not my greatest.
Okay. Oh, boy. It's a lot of bad angles for me in this here show today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady.
Yeah.
This is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the oopsies?
Well, they're a fake awards show, but let me tell you, the prestige of an oopsie is not fake.
Could change
Which
your
is
career.
why
Could change the
it could.
trajectory of your career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as that trajectory is a parallelogram. Any sense? All right. Well, we're going to start off the career-changing awards with Most
A most valuable lawyer. Well, there's a case to be made for each and every one of the Avengers this week.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm going to say that it started with an incredible strategy laid out by Lindsay. Mm-hmm. And it was closed by an incredible leap of detective work by Lindsay to basically figure out the plot of this giant conspiracy in real time in front of the jury and accuse the victim, which isn't a plan B. She plan A'd her. I don't think you can overstate. I mean, that directly forget the rest of the case presented. That directly led to the Judge Massachusetts giving the direct not guilty verdict. So I think without question this week, although I was persuaded last week against it, this week, Lindsay gets the MVL.
I completely agree. She crushed it. She planned it from the whole time. I thought Jimmy did an amazing job, but she definitely, she drove the bus. She made it happen, and she closed like a badass. And now you have to sing the song because you screwed up the graphics you were talking. Here we go.
I didn't know that I had to reset the playlist timing, even though the graphics showed we were on Best Guess Act. We were actually on MVL, and I'm sorry, it's a shitty podcast. My fault.
Which brings us to... Already famous because you've been on TV, getting a paycheck, or the first entry on your IMDb. Way to go, but you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
Huh.
Yeah, best guest actor. A lot of options here. Without a necessarily obvious choice this time.
They were all great. Sister was great. Tien Tamara, played by...
Drea Weber.
Yes, of course, she was excellent. Look, I'm going to be honest. We saw a little bit of an arc from Massachusetts, and I know he just won the best actor. Darn, it's happening again, Keith. It's terrible, and I did it again. I said I fixed it, but I didn't fix it, and it got broke again. This is my shitty podcast. Me again. My bad. So I want to give it to the same guy again.
To Anthony Held.
I do.
Yeah, okay. I see that. I mean, he's obviously amazing and takes stage so well. I thought, Dougald Park having to read that like crazy murder email was set up in a really crazy place. I thought Caitlin Hopkins did a really good job, revealing that when she got caught on the stand.
Oh, also the ADA. Also ADA.
And Clancy Brown,
Shawshank.
of course, was also great. So many good, and Silas Weir Mitchell, like being so creepy as Anthony Brickman. But after all of that, I'm going to give mine to John Finn as Detective Henry Dokes. I thought the battle between he and Jimmy was so much fun. And he sort of played angry and indignant, but did it in such an understated and believable way that it made it a very satisfying scene where he and Jimmy went at it. So that means it's time to award. You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
So, once again, everybody's great, blah, 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 blah. But I thought that Michael Badalucco, excellent in that, in those couple of scenes in the hallway in the elevator where he was accused of being sort of a
fat fart.
A fat fart and a hack. And then in the courtroom when he layeth the smacketh down. If you smell what Jimmy's cooking, was really great. Also, Cameron...
Everybody was hoping for your version of The Rock.
Cameron Manheim was also excellent in her cross-examination and examination. And, Dylan also kills it every time he's on screen. But for some incredible intensity, incredible focus, laser determination... First, that scene in the courtroom where clearly she memorized all those lines, but was able to perform that last scene as if she was discovering it in real time is excellent. Right. Her cap on her emotion at the very end, bringing it right to the point, but not breaching the walls.
Not I just think
Kelly Williams, the rare back-to-back, week-to-week oopsie doopsie is my best actor for this week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you got to give me my one shot.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Come on now. Obviously, Kelly Williams, best actor. But I'm going to use my time Now, you mentioned earlier that you were on that TV show playing the hacker that you filmed in your home, and possibly our assistant office manager might have texted me this very important picture of you filming that in your shorts in your living room that you are still in. So, guys, you're welcome.
See, me being in my boxers for that is funny, but what's even funnier is I couldn't get the camera to the correct eye level. This is before I had all this quote unquote tech. So yes, my laptop is sitting on top of a basket that's being propped up by a roll of 12 toilet papers. We'll put that on the Instagram, Keith. We'll put that on the Instagram.
So that is my best actor for the day.
Wow.
Okay.
Wait, that's going to get the actual... Do I get the award? Do I win an oopsie?
Mike sitting pantsless on toilet paper does not get an oopsie.
Oh, man, I thought it was my first one. Kelly Williams.
You know what? I have an idea that for
the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Now, I know that frequently you choose the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
So we're going to give it to you this week, but before we do that, I don't know where you're going with this. Before we do that, we did say that from now on, for our YouTube watchers, we're going to show last week's in case you're not subscribed on Instagram, though you should be. Follow us at Out of Practice Podcast. Last week, the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady went to You're a Bad Boy, so you have to go back to Phase 1 from Phase 2 Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. But this week, we're going to go a different way, aren't we, Keith?
We are going to give the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady to Tom Brady filming a TV show in his boxers held up by toilet paper, Tom Brady. So Congratulations, Tom. Tom sitting on filming a TV show on his laptop with his boxers on a bunch of toilet paper. Tom Brady wins the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. I forgot to give claps to everybody, but there it is. So look out for that on the Instagram this week.
Wow, that's really funny.
Okay, it is now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time.
I don't need to introduce this one. It explains itself.
Spare tires this episode gets.
I really liked this. I liked the case because I knew some kind of a twist was coming, but they didn't. It felt earned. I thought the case, before we just had a wild twist, we still presented a really compelling case despite all the odds against us. Not only was that compelling, but the sort of personal dramas between some of the LA characters versus our team was really compelling, and we sort of got that rocky, we got knocked down a few times, then we got back up and we threw a couple of haymakers. We got that itch scratched. Kelly Williams, the discovery of the twist felt earned. They had plotted a lot of those plot beats. They had a couple of red herrings. I just thought it was really great. The acting was excellent. The pacing was excellent. This is one of my top episodes, Keith. One of my top episodes. I'm going to give it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
9.5 spare tires.
Ooh, 9.5 spare tires for Hammerhead Sharks.
I would watch this again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as
20 years from now, I'd watch this again.
Like a package unit. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I have two complaints.
Okay.
That it's gonna lose half a point for not bringing in Rebecca and Eugene, because I feel like what I was hoping for was that right at the last second, we're like, oh God, we're done, whatever. Let's bring in Rebecca and Eugene, and they come in and hammer the finale. I would have liked to have seen that. I understand why they didn't. There just wasn't enough time. It was just too much to throw at one case. Too many characters to introduce to a new audience. In fact, I think our friend at the practice Instagram and Facebook pointed out that this was the first episode that they had seen in real life. when it aired, so that this back-to-back was their introduction into the practice. So I understand you have to sort of keep it a little bit contained. But I would have loved to have seen that. My other question is, I got the hammerhead part. Where's my shark? I would really like to have seen somebody jump a shark on some water skis.
Well, the podcast jumped a shark for sure, so that might have really evened out.
In order to jump the shark, you have to be good to begin with, and then lose it. We have lost nothing because we've achieved nothing. I think that's how I've lived my entire life.
Mm-hmm. You clearly don't know geometry. We proved that this week.
Yeah, I need to get back on the rhombus. All right. I am going to give this 9 spare tires, which brings us up to 9.25. That is pretty darn good. Well, thank you for sticking with us for the first double header episode of The Practice. If you would like to join the conversation, please email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice. We also are on the YouTubes now, so search us on the YouTubes and you can see what I look like giving this spiel right this very minute. You can join the jury by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service. Just send us an email and let us know it's there. We will read you and welcome you to the jury. Now it's your turn to talk.
As always, you can donate to the show in one of 2 ways, one-time donation or a monthly contribution. You can find the appropriate links to do so in our show notes. We thank all of our current and future sponsors for helping us keep the show going. Also, remember, despite its flaws, this is our country, and we do still hold the power to craft its future. Support the ACLU and other civil liberty organizations. Donate to and amplify the voices of leaders and candidates that champion the causes you support, and most importantly, vote. So, friends, happy 4th of July from the Out of Practice podcast. Load up your muskets, don't throw away your shot, and fire off some 4th of July laser sounds.
Laser sounds. We said it too early. Now what do we do?